This is Michael O'Mara. I'm a crime writer here in Buckeye. I was calling to see if you might be willing to talk to me about the C.J. Jansen case. Hi again, this is Michael O'Mara calling for Detective Ronan Sala. This is in regards to the Jansen case. I've been writing about the murder of Caleb Jansen for 10 years. A 24-year-old man known as CJ to his friends, whose death shook the sleepy town of Harmony to its core. In May of 2000, CJ failed to show up for his late-night shift at Valley View Logistics. A day later, police found him in his home. There were no fingerprints, no fibers, no footprints left behind. Only one clue. Skin cells scraped from under CJ's fingernails revealed a fragment of DNA from someone else. In 2000, DNA evidence was a powerful but still limited tool. Profiles could be run against the National Database of Offenders, but if the person responsible had never been arrested, the trail would end cold. And for CJ's case, that trail ended almost immediately. For nearly 2 decades, CJ's case sat in a file drawer. The evidence was there, a full DNA profile. But without a match, it was useless. In 2018, Detective Ronan Sala of the Harmony Police Department tried something new. They went to a consumer genealogy company called GeneHeritage. Unlike a government database, GeneHeritage stored the DNA of ordinary people, customers who had mailed in saliva kits hoping to learn more about their ancestry. GeneHeritage offered law enforcement the chance to also submit their own profiles to find matches in the database. The idea was simple. If the killer had never been arrested, maybe one of their relatives had sent in a kit. Maybe a family tree could do what a database could not. The profile was uploaded, and then nothing. For almost 7 years, no close relatives, no leads. But then, in the spring of 2025, the silence broke. GeneHeritage flagged a partial match, not to CJ's killer, but to someone in their family, a 25% connection. The kind of link that could point to a cousin, an aunt, or an uncle. It was the first real lead in 25 years.
As a forensic genealogist, I start from the present and work backwards. My job is to trace a person's origins as far back and wide as I can go, using any information I can find. From the moment I looked at the Jansen file, I hit a wall. The DNA match came from Frankie Moyo, a student at Buckeye State Community College who had apparently sent in their sample as part of a class project. It took about 5 seconds to discover that Frankie was adopted. Their records were sealed, which meant I couldn't go any further.
Detective Sala obtained a subpoena to unseal the adoption file, revealing the name of Frankie's biological mother. Once her name was known, the tree began to open up.
Although I could only work one half of the tree, it was enough. The DNA profile from the fingernail scrapings indicated that I was trying to trace a male. So I started with the closest male relatives. Frankie's half-siblings were all born after the murder had taken place. Frankie's grandfather died in 1997, ruling them out as a suspect. Chronology alone eliminated almost all of the potential matches until just one branch remained. Frankie's maternal uncle, Morgan Remy.
Like CJ, Remy had worked at the Valley View Logistics warehouse. In fact, years earlier, Remy had even filed a complaint about CJ, beginning to point toward a possible motive. On the night of CJ's murder, anomalies in Remy's time card created a window just wide enough to make them a possible suspect. The evidence was circumstantial, but together it raised troubling questions.
On that basis, investigators sought a warrant. We asked the court to authorize the collection of a buccal swab from Morgan Remy to compare against the DNA recovered under CJ's fingernails. The results were definitive, a conclusive match. When detectives searched Remy's home, they found even more. Inside was a gold signet ring, identified as belonging to CJ Jansen. After 25 years without justice, there was enough for an arrest. Morgan Remy was charged with the murder of CJ Jansen.
The arrest of Morgan Remy did not close the case. Instead, it opened a new battle. Remy's attorneys challenged the evidence itself, arguing the state could not use the gene heritage database. After all, Remy never gave consent for their hereditary DNA to be searched. Their genetic information was not volunteered. It was uncovered through a relative, submitted to a site with a murky and complicated opt-out process. And questions still linger about that relative. Frankie Moyo submitted their DNA as part of a class assignment. Is that really a voluntary choice?
Companies like Gene Heritage are exactly why I'm fighting for Buckeyes to gain more control over their DNA. DNA isn't like a bank record or a phone log. We don't just willingly hand it over to third parties in exchange for some trinket or service. It is the most personal information we carry. It reveals our health, our ancestry, and its ripples can impact our children and grandchildren who haven't been born yet. No one should lose their constitutional protections just because a cousin wants to see how closely related they are to Genghis Khan. That's why I introduced House Bill 12. Right now, police can use consumer DNA sites without meaningful oversight. My bill will change that. It will require law enforcement to obtain a subpoena before accessing genetic data. It will ensure that police do actual detective work and follow real leads before they turn to last resorts like dragnet searches of a family tree just to close the case.
After 25 years, investigators believe they have their suspect. But the story is far from over. Before a jury can decide whether Morgan Remy is guilty or innocent, a judge must first decide if the evidence can even be used in court. That decision will turn on a hearing scheduled for January of 2026. The question before the court: was the use of genetic genealogy in this case a lawful search under the Fourth Amendment, or has it crossed a line into a violation of privacy? At that hearing, witnesses will take the stand, like Bailey Kim, the teacher whose assignment set these wheels in motion; Frankie Moyo, the student whose sample became the key to unlocking the family tree; and of course, Detective Ronan Sala, who pursued the case long after it had gone cold. The defense will call their own witnesses: Archer Morales, the CEO of Gene Heritage; Val Barak, a fellow student from Frankie's class; and Haven Peters, a podcaster who has long warned of the hidden dangers of investigative genetic genealogy. For now, the case of CJ Jansen remains unsolved.